morning, everybody. Welcome to our Academy Tuesdays. So each Tuesday we gather here to talk about the recent research. So welcome to our team, welcome to our guests, welcome to all of you that come to watch us online. My name is Agata Trzaska and I would like to show you this topic today. We are going to talk about zirconia versus disilicate in single unit implant cases. So nowadays, implant supported single crowns has been a very recently chosen treatment option for replacing missing teeth. As it's a minimally invasive approach and teeth conserving approach, we tend to do that instead of, for example, like we did more in the past, using a fixed dental prosthesis like bridges supported on the teeth. So a big influence on the outcome, on the success of our rehabilitation will be the choice of the material. So the prosthodontic department, when we get a case with the implant placed, we have to confront the situation of the choice of the proper material. We have to take under consideration various factors that could influence the outcome of our work. Time, cost, resistance, survival rates, aesthetics, soft tissue aesthetics, and also the hard tissue aesthetics. So how actually should we choose the proper material? On the market, we have many available materials for implant-supported rehabilitation. So how should we know which one to choose? Each one of them have different properties, different aesthetics. And also, we should ask ourselves the question, can I use the same material in any of the following conditions? Independently of moment of loading, immediate versus delayed, area of loading, anterior and posterior, and masticatory type and parafunction. Sometimes we need more resistance, sometimes we need more aesthetics. So, following all these doubts, I would like to present you today a short review of these three articles. The first article I'm going to review is a failure load of monolithic lithium disilicate implant supported single crowns made by University in Düsseldorf by Professor Petra together with colleague Dr. Spitznagel. The second great article will be a systematic review of the survival rates of zirconia comparing to metal ceramics made in Geneva by Professor Irena Saylor, and another third great article, which is a systematic review and meta-analysis that evaluates the survival to failure in veneered versus monolithic all ceramic implant supported single crowns. So let's check these studies that we have available. So in the first article, the aim of the study was to compare three different groups of monolithic lithium disilicate restorations. We had three groups that were, in first group, we have a screw-retained milled monolithic lithium disilicate. The second group would be also screw-retained but pressed lithium disilicate. And the third group are cemented pressed monolithic lithium disilicate. So the aim of the study was to evaluate the influence on the failure load depending on the on the retention mode. Screw retained comparing to cemented retained. A part of it, the study also checked, investigated the influence of fatigue over these three groups in the failure load. And what did they find? So they find that no significant differences in between these three groups were observed after a test that was corresponding to 5 years of clinical exposure. So these parameters were put on all three of these groups, and no significant changes were found in between all of them, which proves that monolithic lithium disilicate is a reliable prosthetic material for as well screw retained as cemented retained restorations over implants. Nevertheless, after fatigue, there were some changes noted. In the third group of crowns cemented to custom ceramic abutments, there was a significant decrease on load to failure. So the pattern of the fracture for both the group number 1 and 2, so for the screw retained crowns, the pattern of fracture were always similar. So the fracture was beginning on the occlusal surface and was propagating through the axis, through the screw axis channel. While as it's very interesting because in the third group, the pattern of the fracture was normally the crown fracturing and the abutment was keeping intact. So that was these few words about lithium disilicate. Now, what about zirconia? So during many years and still nowadays, metal ceramic was a very popularly chosen option for restoration. Is it still a golden standard, metal ceramic? As the digital workflow is getting more common in our clinics and it's getting more efficient and effective, we all tend to choose more all ceramic restorations. Why also? So all ceramic restorations tend to have higher aesthetics and lower price. They are more translucent and they have better color selection. And they show, regarding to recent research, they show better biocompatibility and excellent soft tissue integration. So let's see what the second study shows us. The study by Professor Seiler from Geneva. So these studies it's a review of 90 studies actually, and they were comparing 932 metal ceramic units, comparing with 175 units, monolithic as well as veneered ones. So what was found is that in both of the groups, the 5-year survival rate were high. And quite comparable, 98.7% for metal, comparing to 93% for ceramics. Nevertheless, some differences were found in the technical complications. So fractures and chippings were studied, and in 5-year rate we had 11.6 technical complications percentage for metal ceramic, comparing with 50% for zirconia. But we should pay attention that the study was based on 781 metal ceramic units, comparing to only 13 pieces of zirconia. And now the third article, the article by Professor Pétursson from Iceland, is a review. The aim of the review was to compare the properties of zirconia materials with disilicate materials, as well monolithic as well as the veneered ones. So what was found? It's in short-term survival rate, the 3-year survival rate, the rates were quite high for both of the groups, for all of the groups. The only exception here, which is a curious thing, was a resin nanoceramics that showed significantly lower survival rate in short term. What was compared in this study was the chipping rates for veneer single crowns comparing with monolithic single crowns, as well as zirconia, as well as disilicate. So we can see a big difference in between the chipping rates for veneered one that is significantly higher than the monolithic ones. So as I said, the short-term survival rate, the rate is high for short-term survival rate in all of these materials. So zirconia comparing with monolithic disilicate, the lithium disilicate, and we have low complications rate. But we should remember that the veneered units will be more tending for chipping. Lately, because of this complication, because actually why do we even consider using veneered works or monolithic works? We always have to think, making our choice, if we have a posterior region or anterior region. In anterior regions, we are going to use more, we are going to need more aesthetics, so we would tend to use more veneered units. In the posterior region, we don't care so much about the aesthetics, we care more about the resistance, so maybe we should use more monolithic restorations. Lately, there are some new technologies that have been invented in order to avoid this kind of problems with chipping, which is monolithic zirconia with that is micro-veneered or partially veneered, which could maybe be an answer for our doubts. So thank you very much for your attention. We invite you next Tuesday for our Academy Research Mornings. Next Tuesday will be with Dr. Jean on campus. Thank you so much and see you next Tuesday. Bravo.